Welcome back to every naval battle in history. In this episode, we step away from the Punic Wars to check out what's going on in the Eastern Mediterranean. We're taking on the battle between Rhodes and Egypt at Ephesus in 258 BCE. The 3rd century BCE was truly a golden time for naval conflict, with lots of wealthy maritime powers contending at sea. After the rise of Rome, it all gets a bit quiet, except when they're fighting each other. And after the fall of Rome, everyone was too poor to build fleets. But the journey to the rise of Rome, this is a time. Now, let's be honest about this battle. Bugger all is known about it. The date is heavily contested, as in which war it was fought as part of. But lots of ancient sources think something happened, and it seems to have been important in the bigger scheme of things, so we're going to dive in. Now, if we're going with the date of 258, then Ptolemy II, the bug-eyed, hook-nosed, jowly marrier of his sister, is ruling Egypt as part of a very thin and threatened Greek colonising class trying to manage a huge, wealthy and ready to revolt at any moment Egypt. Since his father's time, breaking off from the remains of Alexander the Great's empire, the Greeks in Egypt had developed and maintained naval power. Partly because attacking Egypt over land meant walking through a lot of desert, and partly because they could just about trust native Egyptians as ship crew, but they sure as hell didn't trust them with spears in a land army. A fear that would be justified when Ptolemy III tried arming native Egyptians and then spent the rest of his reign fighting them. While the old Greek cities like Sparta and Athens were glad of any help they could get against the Macedonians, there were other powers in the Aegean Sea who didn't see why the weird Egyptian Greeks should be dominating their trade routes. Orchestrating a split between Egypt and Rhodes was one of the Macedonians' masterstrokes of diplomacy. Rhodes had done very well out of their alliance with the Ptolemies, becoming a key part of the huge trade routes from the east into Europe. The famous Colossus of Rhodes, one of the wonders of the ancient world, was built from selling the equipment our old friend Demetrius the Besieger left behind when he failed to capture Rhodes. The Rhodians were pretty cunning. They saw maintaining a balance between the Hellenistic kingdoms as a key to not being dominated by any of them. The Ptolemies seem to have somewhat foolishly mistaken the long-term support that came to them from the Rhodians as part of a long-term alignment of interests. When Egypt started looking too strong, Rhodes was ready to shift their weight to another side. And what we know is that off Ephesus, probably in 258 BCE, their fleets came to blows, and the master mariners of Rhodes smashed the Egyptian fleet. That's it. Back to the Punic Wars next episode. Strap in, folks, we've got lots more to cover as we take on every naval battle in history. Smash those like and subscribe buttons, ring that bell. You don't want to get left behind.